Hello, Red Eye. What's going on, guys? How are you? Nick here. I wanted to touch base about some information. I had a customer come in and he was having an issue with his dies. He was saying that he was loading with these dies and that it was ruining his ammunition and it wasn't able to chamber. And I said, well, did you check are you seating it right? Are you putting the die all the way down, kissing the shell plate and making sure? And we covered all the basics. He had that. He wasn't new to loading. And it turned out in the end, after he brought it in, it was a neck die set, neck die that he purchased so that he could load. He was hoping to get a little more life, maybe some accuracy or other things out of his brass that he was loading for his AR platform. And once we figured that out, I told him that you should not use a neck die for an AR platform. Any of the auto feeding rifles, you do not want to use neck sizing. There's a couple other things, and it gave me this idea to talk to you guys about the differences in dies. There are full-length dies, small base, neck sizing, and there's also bushing dies. I want to make a little video here. I'm not going to try and make this very long, but I want to at least cover some basics so that you understand the differences and why some are used or not used and the differences in between. Alright, first die set is full length 308. Okay, I tried to get all 4 or 5 sets of the same, but I didn't have them all in stock. So basically what you have here is your standard full-length die set. It will resize the brass back down to factory spec so it can chamber in any standard rifle. 308 full-length die. Nice and simple, okay? That's what most of us use. It's a general application, full-length size. Now, we have, let it focus, small base. Now, small base is the same idea. It will look the same. The difference with the small base dies is that they have the taper a little different, and they've sized the brass a hair smaller. Literally a hair smaller, all right? And it's to help the reliability of feeding. Now, full length sizing, you'll get so many loads out of the brass, and you can work harden the brass. We talk about that in the classes. We all know that. That's why annealing is popular with some people. And small base will work it even more than the full length. Okay? Now, another question, and this is what brought the confusion to the man that was here with the dies, was this is a neck die set. Now notice this is 30-06. I know I was on 308. We're not talking about specific calibers, but I wanted you to see how it's labeled. Okay? This is a neck die set. What this will do, and you'll notice if you take yours and you measure the body of the die, it'll be much bigger because it's not made to size the body of the brass. It's only made to size the neck and shoulder. You bump the shoulder, size the neck. Okay? That's the idea. Now, you can get more loads out of your brass this way. People say it, some people disagree. I'm gonna have people who are gonna chime in and say all sorts of different ways. But basically, if you choose to neck size your brass, it's made to be put back into the same rifle you shot it from, because you're only sizing the neck. So, it will not chamber in another gun. So generally neck dies are used for bolt guns, okay? Because you take it out and you put it into the same gun again. That's the idea, okay? So I'm going to put these here so you can see what I'm talking about. Now, there are 2 other options. These are the 3 general. Most popular is full length, small base, then you have neck dies for the bolt action. If you neck size, and this was the lesson learned, if you neck size your brass and then try to use it into an AR platform, it will not chamber. You might, depending on the chamber itself of the gun, but you're running risks. Okay, if you want reliability of the firearm to operate, you don't use neck size. Small base helps make it more reliable than full length, but it's not always necessary. Okay, Now, other options. Now, this is something that some people aren't even familiar with, but I want to at least explain it. So, here you have, this is RCBS made in X die. Now, the idea here with the X die is this. You trim it down to the specs that are given in the instructions, which I think is 0.02 shorter than normal. And what'll happen is, so all cases must be sized and trimmed to the same overall length. For best results, full length resize each case and trim to 0.02 under maximum case length. Now, this is labeled, it says here, this is a one-time only preparation. It's not, and they have it in parentheses, because it doesn't stop the brass from stretching. But what it will do is, it'll cut down the amount, it'll keep it in check, okay? So, now, the idea behind the X die is that you're gonna hopefully minimize the amount of times you have to trim, okay? It's not gonna stop you from ever having to trim again. That's not what they're saying. But you should be able to get more loads before you trim. Now, how does that happen? Why is that the case? So let's take a second here and try to show you. So, this is the decapper out of the X die. Let me pull this one out of the full length. Oh wait, this is the small base, but it's not going to be any different than the full length. So, here you have the standard decapping rod. You have the expander to round out the neck again and give it back its spec. Then you have the top that screws into the top of the die so you can set your depth and everything. Okay, fine. This, if you notice, first of all, the threads, let that focus. The threads are finer, and it has this stop here on the top. So when you put a piece of brass through it, it'll touch up here, and hopefully over time it will stop it from expanding during sizing. This will go through up and down, and there is nothing here to contact the case mouth, okay? So this little bit of contact up here that's built in here will stop your brass from stretching as much. Notice I'm saying as much, okay? Because it's not promised to never have to trim again. That's not the idea. It's just cutting it down. So now, that's the X die. They're available in various calibers. I have some 223s and 270s and 30-06s. They are around, okay? So that's the X die, in short, okay? Now, this is another one. This is a full-length bushing set. So, let's open this up and I'll explain. The full-length bushing sets are normally cost more. They're just more expensive. This set obviously has a competition seater. And then here is the bushing. So, this is the bushing set. Let's see if I can get this open. Okay? The idea is that you can set, and that's the reason for the bushing, that you can set the neck tension on the die. Okay? They do not come with the bushings because there's so many different options based on what you're using, what you're loading in, and the chamber. So you have to pick your bushings. They do not come with bushings. So what you'll do is, when you put it in there, there's a spot here for the bushing on the inside of the die. So you'll take your bushing, put it in there, and when you screw everything together, now you have the neck tension set. That one that I put in, and you can buy them, they vary by the thousandth. They vary by 1,000th overall. This one was a 331. The other one in here is a 332. Now, it is a variable to control to help your accuracy and various other things that you might want to do with your brass and your shooting, and depends on your chamber and everything else. Okay, so as a basic overall, I wanted to share that, and that is how these different kinds of dies work. Okay, Thank you so much for spending the time with me. I hope I have been able to enlighten you. If you see anything or want to add anything to this video that I may have missed, please comment, message, tell me something. The whole idea of what I'm trying to do here for reloading is to spread the knowledge of this. I do not claim to know it all. I do make mistakes. And if you find something that I may have misspoken, or you want to add or maybe change something, by all means, please take a moment, shoot me a comment, and we can have a conversation. Thank you so much for being part of Red Eye. Have a good day. So long, guys.